This is DJ Dub of the Fantasy Couriers, and we are proud to partner with Underdog as the official sponsor of the Fantasy Couriers podcast. If you haven't done Underdog yet, what's holding you back? Take a chance, jump on. This is draft season, and Underdogs has many best ball drafts that you can join in on. So during the offseason, go to Underdog, join a best ball draft. Keep an eye out. There might even be some Fantasy Couriers best ball drafts coming up. And during the season, great pick'em contests that are live now for in-season play. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app. Use the promo code Couriers, and you will get your deposit matched up to $100. Let me say that again. Deposit matched up to $100. So what's holding you back? Jump onto Underdog, have a blast, enjoy, and let's get ready for the show.
Happening, fellow fantasy GMs. I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub, and with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
JJ Wang, can you believe that by the time we record a show again, there will be football?
Yep, pretty excited. It's football, man. This is what we wait all year for. So. Yeah, and it's like always, I'm looking for this. This could be like one of the most awesome years. I don't know if that's not grammatically correct or whatever, but the most awesome years ever, just like every other year. So it's going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, the best football time is the present, because in the past you won or lost, that's over. Now we're in the present. We're all square. Even cruddy teams have a chance right now.
And absolutely, and like I like so many people. I end up like when I watch a football game, I just sit there rooting for everybody to do good. Well, there's a couple that I do root for to do bad, but overall, I mean, it's just fun to watch when you got like 8 guys on on 2 teams that you just sit there and root for. It's pretty fun.
I mean, who do you have that's not a rookie though? I mean, that's the challenge for you these days, isn't it?
I'm increasing my age intake a little bit. I'm more like that second, third, fourth year guy now, as opposed to the rookie guy.
Oh, so your rookies are growing up. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, they're growing up. I can't get rid of them yet.
So we're the Fantasy Couriers. This is an exciting week. Probably some of you might have just wrapped up your drafts or wrapping up draft. I want to give a big shout out to Jared from my Regulators League for working to help fill the Fantasy Couriers Outrageous League. We got 14 teams in this ridiculous league format, 2 quarterbacks, 1 superflex. I can't wait to see how this is going to fall, because it's 2-point tight end premium. I still don't see how quarterback is not the top 32 picks. Like
I mean, maybe farther. I mean, backups are going to be going before like, the 4th or 5th wide receiver. It's absolute whatever, man.
Will Levis overtakes DK Metcalf.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Willis is going to be going super high, because when Tannehill realizes he sucks, they're going to need a backup, right?
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a fun league to go in, but thanks to all who supported and joined that league. We'll keep you updated throughout the years. The winner of the league will have a special segment on the show at the top of the year. We are excited for today. Today is one of our favorite shows of the year. It's actually the most viewed. I think it's because we get lots of people to jump on from different areas. It is our bold predictions show, and as we go into bold predictions, we'll talk about it more as we go in. Bold predictions aren't things that necessarily are like, oh yeah, 100% sure gonna happen. These are bold. We're putting it out there.
I tried to be less bold, more realistic, but still bold, if that makes sense. I mean, not all of them are Super Bowl. I mean, some of them. I mean, I want a bold prediction that can actually happen. So, I mean, I do want to be able to make my bold predictions within reach, as opposed to before, Davis Mills being a top 12 quarterback. That was a terrible bold prediction. But, I mean, that was the route I would take my bold predictions before. And I think I'm growing a little bit. I want them more obtainable.
I went back and looked at some of our predictions. They were terrible. So, yeah.
Well, mine are all terrible. It doesn't matter.
And the thing is about fantasy football shows, like our show's only good for like 4 days. Once we get into end season, just before we jump in, we're going to jump in the show. Just a little uptake for everybody else. We'll be going to 2 shows a week. I'll post on there. We're probably posting what we're talking about. Mondays and Fridays are when those shows will post. We'll record them throughout the week, so we might tell you if we're off a day or two, because we both are super busy. Our kids are everywhere, and they're number one. We love you guys, but our kids are number one. And if they got something, we'll be there and we'll adjust. But we'll be there. We're going to do the beginning of the week.
Yeah, so I just want to jump in real quick. I got my daughter playing sports like 6 out of the 7 nights of the week. She absolutely hates me right now. it's it's so fun.
Someone's living vicariously. Is that what you're telling me here?
Yes, and then even on the night off, I still take her out to the park and make her do it. Still make her play. So it's funny. She hates it right now.
Good thing you have one kid. If you had two kids, like I have two kids, and I'm not home during the weekdays. But yeah, so we're going to start the Sunday night, Monday morning show, depending upon how life goes, will be sort of a week wrap up. So sorry, Monday Night Football, we love you. We'll talk about you a little bit at the end of the week. The end of the week show will be Q&A. So if you have some questions you want to throw in, or be sort of a jump into the week preview of anything that's happened leading into the week. But that's where we're going. Enough about that. You'll hear about that next week. So now on to bold predictions with our special guests. So here we are, bold prediction show. This is the highlight. I guess this is our unofficial start of the season for the Fantasy Couriers. We're talking about everything throughout the year. We were excited last week, which was, thanks everybody. It was one of our biggest hit shows. And this week we do bold predictions with two listeners, two friends we've met up with through football over the year joining us. We have Fondue22, Aaron over there, who's in a league with JJ Wang. Are y'all still in the same league?
Still in the same league. Yep.
League. And then
yeah.
Pastor
I'm ready to win.
And then Pastor Jacques, who I connected with recently. And after we record this, I got to go take a shower and go to his first league, and the league that he roped me into when I said I'm not going to join any other leagues. And I'll talk about that probably next week and whatever torture I go through in that league. So welcome, fellas. We'll start before we get into our bold predictions. We'll go with Pastor Jacques here. Tell us how you got into fantasy football, maybe how long you've been in it, and maybe your favorite or bragging point player of your fantasy career or best draft pick. Something to that. Just illuminate us.
Yeah, thank you. I've been playing fantasy probably about 15 years. Got roped in by a good friend of mine, knew nothing about it, and so the first year I did it, I'm a New England Patriots fan, so I just drafted as many Patriots as I could. Don't throw up yet. And so that's it. I lost that league miserably. I was terrible, and so I had to rethink my strategy. Been learning ever since. Absolutely love it. But I scored gold the first year that Gronkowski broke. And so, yeah, that was my first title. So that was my road to actually enjoying fantasy instead of the torture that it sometimes brings.
Thank you, Aaron Hernandez. But I think we were talking about that. He was going to be so good, knucklehead. Fondue22, tell us, same question. How long you been doing fantasy? What got you into it? Anything to illuminate us about your fantasy background?
Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, thanks for having me on the show. Listen to you guys all the time. Big time, local, homegrown. I love it. And I'm definitely spreading the word of Fantasy Couriers out there. So tell everybody to go and listen. For me, I grew up in football my whole life, man. I started playing football since I was 7 years old, all the way through college. And so, it's just in my blood, my DNA. I think the first time I played fantasy football was in high school, probably back in, 2003 or so. We were in computer class and we found out how to get to the fantasy football in computer class. So we're supposed to be learning how to type when we're doing fantasy football. But since then, just been playing, and I kind of play in leagues here and there. I don't play a lot of leagues because now with the kids and everything, right? There's a lot more responsibilities to be done. But right now, just playing in one league, and that's the Dynasty League. And I tell you what, Dynasty's awesome. I love it. It definitely brings a different element to the game of being a GM, not just picking people right off the shelf. So I'm enjoying it, and I can't wait to get into the episode.
Oh, well, thank you guys for coming. Yeah, it's nice. It's awesome to see connections throughout we got some competitors here on the bottom because Fondue is a Dolphins fan, so we know he's a good man. Jacques, a Patriots fan, will forgive him, I guess. I mean, I don't know what St. Peter's going to be at the gates, but we'll see. But and JJ Wang used to be a Cowboys fan. Now he quietly roots for them, I think.
I know. Don't get me wrong. I still root for them, absolutely, down deep. But I mean, just not in. I'm tired of getting mad every time they lose, which is whole lot. So
It's just half the time. Usually they're 8-8, 9-7,
yeah,
9. You know,
it's not worth it. And so I just like players now. I'm a player guy.
Excellent. So now we got the introductions out of the way. Let's jump into bold predictions. As I was saying earlier before they came onto the show, bold predictions might be things that are a little risque. Not something ludicrous like, Baker Mayfield throwing for 6,000 yards. Although, if you read my article, I did tout him up pretty good. I didn't I'm not going to do it. I was going to use it, but I'm not going to. He was my bold prediction on Fantasy Pros. I'm going to save it because I just don't want JJ Wang to shake his head for 5 minutes straight while I talk about it. But something within quasi reason, like JJ Wang last year predicted that Tom Brady, what was it, the most
pass attempts. I said he would get to 900. He ended up with the most pass attempts, but he didn't get to 900. Had a bad start of the season, but I was on pace.
It was better than my Chase Edmonds take. So, what can you do at that point? So we're going to start with Fondue22. Fondue22, tell us your first bold prediction, what leads you there, and why it's going to happen.
All right. So I got a big one, big bold prediction for y'all, and that's going to be Lamar Jackson is the top fantasy scorer of this season. I think he's coming back. I mean, they picked up the wide receivers, they put some more pieces around him, and I think he's going to show out and show up. He got the big contract, so we all know he's paid. He's happy. And so I'm ready to see a big season from Lamar. I think he's going to end up number one fantasy scorer.
Very possible. To go along with Lamar, evidently Zay Flowers is the coolest guy in camp. So, I mean, Lamar's probably going to be falling in love with him. Maybe he has a receiver that he can actually throw to, maybe other than, Mark Andrews. But I think what it comes down to is how much is he going to run the ball. I think if he's running the ball to where he gets close to 1,000 yards, I mean, QB1 is going to be very attainable. My QB1 is probably more the Justin Fields type, but I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. I mean, it's pretty bold. I can see it. I can definitely see this happening.
I love it. I have Lamar Jackson on my best team, so I'm hoping it happens as we go. As we get at bold. I like it. I'll take it all the way. Any thoughts on that one, or what's your, and then lead into your bold prediction, Jacques?
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's done it before, right? He's taken the league by storm and done it before. I'm just, as soon as you start hearing like RG3 style, I'm just going to throw it more. I get a little bit gun shy when it comes to seeing those numbers because if he's going to try chucking it instead of running it, if that's at all a part of the game plan going into this season, that just lowers it a lot for me. But you just never know because when you panic and you're a runner, you run. So there's a chance it could happen.
That date. Yeah, it's a risk. I'm curious to see if that passing there. I was listening to the Footballers Dynasty, and they were talking about Lamar, he was a great passer in college. Well, really, he only threw 57%, I think, for his entire college. He's never been a super accurate passer. He just threw it a lot, I guess, and ran a lot. So we'll see what happens. So, Jacques, give us your first bold prediction as we go into yours.
So my bold prediction, anytime a receiver can leapfrog people like Tyreek Hill, Jefferson, Chase, CeeDee Lamb, and become the number one scoring fantasy wide receiver, to me, that's a bold prediction. I think that's what Garrett Wilson's going to do. I have him leapfrogging all those receivers. And you think about what Aaron Rodgers has done in the past. He finds a receiver. He zones in on that guy, whether it's Devontae Adams or Jennings or Cobb or Jordy, and he makes them relevant. Last year, when he finally established a connection with Watson, he made Watson go from somebody that was hardly even drafted to somebody who was putting up a ton of points in the second half of the season. And so I see this year with a poo-poo quarterback last year, Garrett Wilson, the second half of the season was putting up insane numbers. With Aaron Rodgers zoning in on him, I mean, I think the sky's the limit for him. And so I have him as a possible. I think he finishes right up there as the number one wide receiver, especially in PPR scoring.
JJ Wang, just go for it. You love this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100% on that. It's no surprise. That was actually going to be my first bold prediction as well. You took it. So I got to go down my list here. But I agree 100%. It's pretty much pretty much the same situation they got going on as Minnesota, right? But I think Aaron Rodgers is a little better than Kirk Cousins, and he's going to throw the ball to Garrett Wilson a lot. And wide receiver, I think by the end of the year, Garrett Wilson is going to be considered like in Dynasty as wide receiver one. It's going to be that kind of year.
Wow.
What do you think of that one, Fondue? And it makes us want to puke a little bit. So I got to take fanboy, and I got to be like, taking our Dolphins fanboy out of it, because we loathe the Jets. Like that's rule number one. What do you think of Garrett Wilson? Is it possible?
So, is it possible? Anything's possible, right? I mean, let's be honest. Anything's possible. But I'm just concerned with the youth. He's still really young. He's still learning the game. Yes, he has Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is going to help out in that case when it comes to the youth side of it. But there's still going to be stumbles. I don't know if you guys watched the Hard Knocks that's been out, and there was a point in it when the team wasn't performing up to Aaron's level of what he wanted, and he basically went off, just not having it. And that happened during the season, because this is just preseason that we're talking about. And the last preseason game, Wilson did do very well. But I will say, with that youth around, it could be difficult to get to that very tippy top that this bold prediction is saying. That's going to be very difficult. But is it possible? Sure. I don't know. But he's going to have to get over some of the learning curve of still being young in his career.
Yeah. I think Garrett Wilson's a stud. I'm still trying to figure out what Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. That's the X factor there. Garrett Wilson, I mean, he looks great with, the three of us as quarterback last year. So give him, half of Aaron Rodgers. Sky's the limit. It depends if Aaron Rodgers clicks with him or if Aaron Rodgers throws to his friends. Or Dalvin Cook,
he's going to get so many targets. It's just going to be he might get 200 targets. Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the ball a lot. And he might throw to his friends. Yeah, his friends are there just to make him comfortable. They're not really the receivers you really throw to. Garrett Wilson is the receiver you throw to. And when you're getting 175, 200 targets and you're as good as Garrett Wilson, oh my God, it's going to be outstanding.
Okay, right. JJ Wang, yours was stolen, so we just skip you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have an extra one here that I can go with. So I'm going to jump over to RB here, and I'm going to go to Jacksonville, and I'm going to go to Houston. So there's the two RBs. We got Dameon Pierce, not Travis Etienne, but I'm going Tank Bigsby here. I think Tank Bigsby ends up with a better season than Dameon Pierce. As far as Dameon Pierce goes, I think we see more Dameon Pierce over the second half of the season than we did the first. Last year, I know he was injured a lot, but I think the addition of Devin Singletary is going to hurt a lot more than people think. Devin Singletary was very productive in Buffalo. He had some good years, and maybe Dameon Pierce isn't a stud running back. He's just that running back that flashed and then just kind of fades as the years go. And Houston's not that good. Jacksonville's really, really good, and I think Tank Bigsby could possibly get like the Jamal Williams treatment from Detroit. And I mean, it could end up fantastic for him. So, I mean, that's my bold prediction.
So Tank Bigsby.
Tank's Bigsby better than Dameon Pierce this year.
I don't want to hear that.
Fondue 22, in his next round, he's going to have some discussion with you about that one. So we'll just focus right now sort of on the Tank Bigsby part here, of Tank Bigsby being this year's Jamal Williams. So what if you were to like relatively, are you talking like lots of touchdowns and like a handful of yards kind of deal like Jamal did last year?
I mean, I'm talking, I think a lot of touchdowns. I think he'll be getting 900 to 1,000 yards in this offense. Etienne is still going to get his. I think Etienne values a lot. I don't see him as a 1,600 yard, 2,000 total yard back. I think he's more of like that 800 yard rusher, maybe 600 to 700 yard receiver. So I think it ends in that. And I think there's going to be plenty of volume here for both these guys to succeed. And it's very possible. And I don't know if Etienne can really be that 300 touch work. So why not? If Bigsby is that good, why are you going to hold him off the field?
I got a text message this morning from this guy. I was sitting in church and my text popped up, and he was asking whether he should keep ETN as a keeper. It might have been the guy on the bottom of the screen here. Jacques was hitting me up, and I'm not believing the Tank Bigsby smokescreen. I think ETN is such a good talent. I think, and I pointed it out, I think last week or the week before, like Tank Bigsby and ETN are the same size because your name is Tank doesn't make you bigger, Tank Dell. I'm an ETN guy. Jacques, what did you finally decide, or what are you thinking there?
Yeah, I was in a draft, and so I went with Travis Etienne. I just think there's a lot of trust between quarterback and running back there, and I think and that trust goes back a long way. Tank is. I actually picked up Tank in that same draft later on as a security blanket in case Etienne gets injured. I think injury is the only way that Tank Bigsby is going to pop to that degree. And if that happens, I think the road is clear for him to like blow Dameon Pierce out of the water. But I think it's going to take an injury to cause that to happen.
Yeah, 100% there. Ironically, we didn't see this happening, but we're going to do a back-to-back Jacksonville Jaguar discussion. I'm going back to my bold prediction from 2 years ago or so. Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley was my wide receiver one the year that he was basically the number one receiver in Atlanta. Who could foresee he was going to have a mental breakdown and then gamble and just have a very rough season 2 years ago? I thought the sky was the limit with the talent of this guy. I mean, it's interesting. He is an older young guy. So this is what his sixth year. I forget the way it works. He's still in his rookie contract and he's turning 29. So it's something 28. So, but it's ridiculous his age and way. But he is now on what I believe one of the best up and coming teams in the league. Like, I didn't do a Trevor Lawrence, but I was thinking about it. The Jaguars are going to be dangerous. They're in a division that is highly winnable and pretty terrible. So the Calvin Ridley is going to be my bold prediction is wide receiver one for Calvin Ridley in that Jacksonville offense. Let's give him 1,800 yards and about 13, 14 touchdowns.
So you're saying wide
receiver one.
So you're saying the wide receiver one, Calvin Ridley.
You said bold. You said bold. Right now he's going. What's he going? I'll go look at expert DJ Dub. He's probably
it's fine.
Something like that. He's going up. He's moving up.
I mean, it's fine. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a wide receiver one. I just wanted to make it was the wide receiver one. I mean, I love Trevor Lawrence. I love Jacksonville Jaguars.
18 right now.
And I've actually grown to love Calvin Ridley a little more as we get closer to the season. Wide receiver one, I mean, I hope not, because that would mean Garrett Wilson isn't wide receiver one. So maybe wide receiver two, I'll be happy with. But I mean, sure. I think that offense is going to be crazy. I think there are a lot more weapons in Jacksonville than there are in New York, which is going to make it easier for Garrett Wilson than it is for Calvin Ridley to be wide receiver one.
Okay, Florida, you're a Gator fan. Jacksonville's down there. What do you think of Calvin Ridley? Fondue22?
Agent Zero, huh? We're having the conversation around Agent Zero.
As long as there's no draft.
Calvin Ridley. Yeah, so Calvin Ridley. Everyone talks very highly about him. If you go and you're reading other things that other football players are saying about him, they say that he runs great routes. He's fast. He's obviously going to catch the balls that are thrown his way. I just think something about football, there's still rust. There's that rust that you have when you have time off. And I understand you could also look at it as a positive and say, well, technically that's, not additional wear on the tires. So there's two sides to that story, but I like to look at Deshaun Watson. So he didn't have that extra wear and tear, but you saw what happened when he came back, even though he was practicing and all these things. It takes time to really get that game speed. And so did he get that in preseason? To me, that's the question. Because if you're going to see him as the number one wide receiver, that means he's going to come out fully loaded, from day one, just balling out, just balling out. And will we see that? And I don't know. The other piece to that is Trevor. Is Trevor Lawrence taking that extra step this year? Because if he doesn't take that extra step, then that's the problem that could happen. So there's a lot of pieces going on with it. again, is it possible? Anything's possible. But I think that there's going to be some rust on those tires that are going to need to be kicked off a little bit. So I don't think that it's going to happen this year. But hey, we'll see.
I see head shakes down there from Pastor Jacques. You're not a Jaguars believer?
Yeah, my kids do this. I heart Calvin Ridley, like all over the place. I would love to have him on my. Listen, I get it. The time off. There's two sides to that coin. Who had more time off than Michael Vick? And then he came back after prison time and tore up the league and put up incredible fantasy stats. Like, I think it's possible if you take care of your body, if they don't rush him back. But I just think the quarterback situation is way better than when he was blowing up with Matt Ryan, who had a limp arm and couldn't do anything. And now he's got an ascending quarterback in an ascending offense with poo-poo teams around him. And one of the things that happened with Ridley, as people started to get this Ridley love, because he did gain a lot of love, his ADP didn't rise. So all of a sudden, his ADP didn't rise. And so now he's at a value pick at where he's being drafted. And I think it could be a steal.
Apparently,
I just think there's a lot of targets there in Jacksonville to go around. I think Etienne is going to catch a lot. Christian Kirk is still going to catch a lot of balls. He was very productive, and Evan Ingram is still going to catch a lot of balls. I mean, all these guys are going to be top players in fantasy. You're going to win all of them. So I think that is what lowers Calvin Ridley for me.
But I mean, if it's like the Jets are going to be, they're going to throw for tons anyway, so he'll be solid.
Yeah, but they're only throwing to one person, so in New York.
Tyler Conklin? Oh, anyway.
Yep.
So we're going to do another round and then a homer round, and we got a special surprise halfway through this round. This round we're going to do a little faster, got lots of discussion in there. This round will be a little speedier round, quicker rebuttals. But round two, I'm going to start and we'll go backwards. We're doing a snake draft kind of thing here. My bold prediction, I love this. I actually have believed this almost from the beginning, is that Jahmyr Gibbs, rookie running back for the Detroit Lions, is going to be the best rookie running back this year. And I'm going bold stupid on this one, though. Could be a top 5 running back. My reasoning is quite simple. Bijan's team is not good. So if you got a team that's not going to score a lot of touchdowns, you're not going to score a lot of touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs' team is really good. Now, I'm also assuming you're not doing a standard league. In a standard league, this is probably a moot point because most people do half point to full point PPR. Jahmyr Gibbs could catch he could catch 50, 60 balls and then sneak in some touchdowns. So if you're getting a point per reception plus the yardage, he's not going to get like a reception for 1 yard. He's going to get, 5, 10, 15 yards, and he's going to break off one every now and then. He blew up the SEC. I mean, he's not. Everybody's like, well, he's not big, but he played for Alabama and just crushed SEC there, and he was a stellar player there. I mean, he beat up on the Florida Gators. He did things like that too. Oh, no reaction. I thought, but I think that Bijan's good. He's going to be great. Bijan is a great talent coming in. I'm just worried more about what he's coming into as they're building. If this was 5 years from now, it'll be interesting to see. But Jahmyr Gibbs, best rookie running back, is the base of my bold prediction.
I mean, I think that's possible. I don't know if top 5 is possible because David Montgomery is still there. I think he'll still get a lot of the work. But I think Bijan will have a better year. But, I mean, I guess like
Calvin Ridley.
I guess. But, yeah, Bijan's the only guy he has to be better. So.
Any Gibbs thoughts there on the bottom of the say on the podcast on screen?
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I should fear that I like your takes or like be excited that I like your takes, but I've got Jahmyr in the draft I had today, and then we do a thing in our home league. We just mess around and innovate. And so last year we drafted each of us a college player. We get to pick that player as the last pick in our draft this year. And that was my guy. So I'm hoping what you say goes through. If that happens, it's going to be a good day for me. So I'm hoping his talent is unbelievable. And that's why they drafted him where he did. There were other GMs in the league that were disappointed when he was picked off the board so early because they wanted him. And when other GMs are seeing that says something.
Fondue, what's the SEC say?
Way too bold. Way too bold. Robinson obviously is a special kind of cat. I mean, he's going to get fed, and he's going to get fed very, very well. I just don't see either part of this happening. The best rookie running back, I feel like I'm in an upside down world. Robinson has to get that. And then top 5 in the NFL, I think he's going to be good. Don't get me wrong. The guy has skills. I did see him, on the field playing the Gators, right? So he definitely has skills, and I think he's going to be a good NFL player. But to say rookie, top rookie running back, top 5 running back, I think that's just a little too bold.
Close it there. I love that we finally have some dissension. I like it. Is Jahmyr Gibbs is on the Detroit Lions. I think they're going to be stellar this year. They might be my second favorite team this year. But he actually has the first preseason easiest running back rank of strength of schedule. The easiest schedule in the entire league is what the Detroit Lions have. I was like, yeah, I was just pulling that up on Fantasy Pros here. Check out the experts in Fantasy Pros, including DJ Dove. Okay, JJ Wayne, give us your last one before we have our special hot take here in the middle.
Yeah, so I got some older wide receivers here, and I'm gonna go Keenan Allen is the best receiver out of Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, and Amari Cooper. And then I'll throw in a special caveat that Mike Williams fails to reach 1,000 yards for the first time in his career because Baker Mayfield is terrible.
Oh, you mean Mike Evans? Mike Evans.
Yeah, is that what I said?
Yeah, Mike Williams. I was like, he's gonna get hurt.
Mike Evans will not reach 1,000 yards because Baker Mayfield is so bad.
Amen.
That was just me.
Mike Evans wants out. He says he wants to be a Buck for life, but I think after he plays with Baker, oh man, he's gonna be running for the hills.
No Baker love here, man. So the hot take here, we're looking at Keenan Allen. I love Keenan Allen. So Keenan Allen better than Devontae Adams because you hate Jimmy Garoppolo. Better than Mike Evans because you hate Baker Mayfield. Better than Cooper Kupp because he's hurt.
And then better than Amari Cooper just because Deshaun Watson isn't that good.
What's bold here?
Like I said,
Adams has proved that he can be good with decent, with okay-ish quarter because he had these stellar years with Aaron Rodgers. Last year, Derek Carr's he's a good NFL quarterback, but he still made Devontae Adams look like Jay Rice.
That wasn't Derek Carr. That was Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels is a terrible coach.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Garoppolo is not a good quarterback. So Josh McDaniels with Jimmy Garoppolo, this could be dreadful.
You'd be proud of me. I just dropped Jimmy Garoppolo for Mac Jones in the Dynasty League.
I would too.
It's terrible. Like the Patriots fan. Okay, so we're looking here. What do y'all think, guys? What's that? The hot take there? Keenan Allen, best of those of the old man bunch.
Yeah, I drafted him last year, and the first half of the year I couldn't use him. I'm just waiting for another hamstring injury, waiting for another reason to have to stare at him in my lineup and not get to use him. So I'm a little bit gun shy with him. I think he's super talented. The targets will be there if he stays on the field. It's a tough one for me because of that and his age.
Yeah, I suffered through those first couple years of Keenan Allen where he was just hurt, like the random ACL, the random Achilles, and then when he came back, when he plays, he's one of the best route runners in the league. So to see that's pretty strong. So, you a Keenan fan there, Fondue?
I agree. The injuries, it's hard to overcome all those injuries. And I'm not as down on Jimmy G from camp. I'm hearing that Jimmy G is looking pretty good. I mean, he's not going to take you to a Super Bowl, but he's shown that he can, throw the ball and get it into a receiver's hands. And I still think Adams is elite. So I just can't see Keenan Allen doing that much. And like Pastor said, he's going to get hurt at some point. So I think there's a little bit of not being reliable there.
Oh, I hope not. So we have a very special bold prediction from a friend of the industry, Chad Parsons, who is the Under the Helmet Dynasty podcast and one of my new favorites, Dynasty Think Tank. There are links in the notes. Support them because he's willing to support us, which in our email correspondence, I always get excited talking to him because like, yeah, we're part of a big family. He wants to support us. So I'm going to support him. I'm going to leave that on the notes for a couple of weeks just to get through, and I'll probably post some stuff on him on our Facebook page because he's willing to do it. So let's listen to Chad's bold prediction.
Hey, Adam and the Fantasy Couriers audience. Chad Parsons here from uthdynasty.com. You can find my Dynasty shows Under the Helmet as well as the new Dynasty Think Tank out there in the audio prism of Dynasty and fantasy content there. My bold prediction for 2023, Dak Prescott will be a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Might seem like a stretch. However, they bring in Brandon Cooks. Huge upgrade. All the pressure is off Michael Gallup. And you say, they're changing. The rushing game is not going to be a feature element here. Can Tony Pollard stay healthy? A lot of questions at running back 2 as well. Couple things to point out about Dak Prescott. He's currently going outside the top 8 to 10. A lot of people don't think there's ceiling there. This is a quarterback that in all 7 years he's finished as QB 13 or better in adjusted points per game. Top 6 3 times, top 12 5 of 6 seasons. High floor, he just needs a little puck luck to get that big ceiling back. He's been about 9% in terms of touchdown rate per completion the past couple of seasons. What's the big outlier? He's a mid-career quarterback with an 11% interception rate last year, which is basically double his career average. A few of those drives turn from interceptions to longer drives, scoring drives, a few more touchdowns, and he gets his wheels back just a little bit. All of a sudden, we're looking at a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Have a great season, everybody.
Dak Prescott, he is probably one of the most divisive players. I love Chad coming on here. It makes me excited talking to him. But Dak Prescott, what do y'all think? I'm gonna listen to y'all and I'll tell you what I think because I'm in the minority. I think here in this group.
So I'm hoping this happens because if that happens, that means CeeDee Lamb is going to go crazy, which I will be completely excited for. I mean, I guess it's possible. But I think early on in Dak's career, he was rushing a little more. He was getting more rushing touchdowns. I think he had like 6 rushing touchdowns like the first 3 or 4 years of his career, and that helps out a lot. I think they are going to throw a lot. I think he's going to need those rushing touchdowns if he wants to reach that potential. But that's hard for me to see. But if it does, I mean, I got Dak, so I'll be happy it does. I'm just not expecting that.
What do you? More head shaking, Jacques?
Yeah, I don't. You said at the beginning of your comments, you said, I hope. I think that's what you're going to need for that to happen. A whole lot of hope because the different offensive coordinator, and they're going to protect Dak. He throws so many interceptions. I think you're going to scale what he does with the arm. And I don't see it. I don't see a scenario where that happens. There's too many good quarterbacks who have to leapfrog in order to make that happen. And I think they're going to be multi-dimensional with their offense. And I don't think they want him getting injured either. So I don't see them going back in time and trying to run him a bunch. I don't see that happening either.
Fondue, what? Dak? Yuck or yay?
I'll keep it short and sweet. I don't even see Dak making it through this season. Okay, they just traded for Trey Lance to back him up. They already think that he's going to get hurt. And I think he's going to get hurt again. The guy cannot stay healthy. He throws way too many interceptions. I just don't see this happening.
Trey Lance, JJ Wang, you two got to talk more. Yeah, basically, I see the way. I love Dak. I think Dak top 5. It's bold prediction. So I mean, realistically, in that top 5, right now the Fantasy Pros top 5 is Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. Just what he's going to do, he'd have to basically leapfrog Joe Burrow because it would be a similar kind of route to get there. And I like Dak. Dak I think is underrated right now, and he's 11 on Fantasy Pros. So I mean, he's got to leapfrog Deshaun Watson. Danny Dimes. Like, I think Trevor Lawrence for me is the problem. I have Trevor Lawrence a lot higher. Justin Herbert, Justin Fields, Joe Burrow. I don't know where Tua is. That's weird. But we'll get to that later. So yeah, I love that bold prediction. That's why they're bold. We're throwing them out there. So let's go back to Pastor Jacques. What is your second bold prediction?
My second bold prediction, I'm going to make this quick. I think Cleveland's going to produce the number one running back in fantasy football.
Yeah.
I don't see, like, the competition is gone with Kareem Hunt, and I don't. They're going to run the ball as much as they can to keep Deshaun Watson from ruining their chances of being a playoff team. I see him as potentially being the number one overall running back.
I love it.
Have you been
100%.
Nick Chubb is my number one ranked quarterback on Fantasy Pros.
Or running back, either way.
He's my. That would make him probably my number one ranked overall player. Super flex. So we're all, Fondue. Are you a Nick Chubb guy?
Yeah, I am. I think that's possible. I think it's bold but possible. Nothing against it.
Yeah, I think it's basically it's CMC, him, Eckler, and then depends upon how many catches Bijan gets, right? More or less is where we're looking at.
I still think you got to put Derrick Henry in there.
Oh, I hope so. I sure hope so. Because if Derrick Henry goes in there, that Lamar take, my Derrick Henry take. Oh, yeah. I think Chubb, and especially they got in Pierre Strong. Hey, New England, what do you think? Is Pierre Strong going to steal some of those catches? Was that why they brought him in? They say he'll get some early catches in the season. That'll be an interesting take there as we go on. So, Aaron, I love this. JJ Wang, he's going to counter your first bold prediction. Just like Jacques was saying, he likes my bold predictions. I was looking at Aaron's when he sent to me. I was like, I love some of his bold predictions because everybody there are on my teams. So let's go for it, Aaron.
All right. So for the second bold prediction, I have Dameon Pierce finishing in the top 10 for running backs the first time in his career. So with Dameon Pierce, he came on strong last season. Obviously had some injuries, but number one, he's a Gator, so he's got to be great. I mean, I wanted to get him on my team, but someone in this room took him before I could, and I just knew, seeing this kid, he's special. He runs hard. He finishes. He has some speed with it, and I think that he's going to make that next step. That's why I was a little bit hesitant with some of the conversations we're having earlier around maybe Tank Bigsby being a little bit better and things like that. I really think Dameon Pierce has a full package, and they're going to utilize him, especially with that new rookie quarterback.
JJ Wang, what you think?
I mean, like I said, I got plenty of shares of Dameon Pierce, but I don't see Dameon Pierce as the breakout running back. I see Dameon Pierce as just like he's just going to be a guy, not the guy. I mean, it's unfortunate. That's just how I see it. I think Tank Bigsby can be more of a guy. That's all that is.
It's okay for you to be wrong. We're cool with that. So
I'm wrong. I am wrong all the time. So I mean, like I said, if I am wrong, I'm still happy because that means Dameon Pierce is helping me out in several leagues that I have him in. But I'm just not this is all about expectation, and that is not my expectations for Dameon Pierce at the moment.
Yeah. We talked about Dameon Pierce last week. I've loved Dameon Pierce since he came into the league. He was one of my guys last year. Like he was one of my favorite rookies coming in last year. I loved him, and yeah, I love it. I love it. Jacques, what Dameon Pierce?
They call it the running back dead zone for a reason. And I see him. Are you really excited? Like, if you get to that point in the draft and you draft him, are you really excited? Are you really excited he's on your team? Like, I just can't be. Though that idea that, hey, he really popped in the second half of the season, I think that's the most overrated thing that we say in fantasy football. Because game scripts a lot of time go out the window. Teams start tanking and playing for picks. I think he'll be okay. I think he'll be serviceable, but I don't think he'll be great.
I love some Dameon Pierce. I love it. Okay, we're looping back around. The last round here is what we call Homer picks. So our guests are going to give us some Homer picks from their favorite teams. One has a great team. The other one, luckily our team's better than that team. And then JJ Wang and I have Homer picks. Luckily mine, and they are going to be our top guys throughout the offseason. We went through it's our guys that we think are going to be good, that we're rooting for to be good. But for some reason, that's just our top guy for that. That's a guy that we're really going to be honing in on, and they might be showing across our teams. That'll be our Homer picks for the year. Mine's a double work, but let's start. Fondue22, give us your excellent. I mean, I don't know why this is a bold prediction. This is a true to life prediction, my friend. I think, I don't know. It might not be for the show. Go for it.
So, hey, first of all, this is Homer to the core. So I want to give a shout out to Fins Nation, Fins up. Everybody
up.
put them fins up. We know what it is, and we're going to do some big things this season. So with my Homer bold prediction, it comes to Tyreek Hill. So I have Tyreek Hill breaking the single season receiving yards record that is currently held by Megatron Calvin Johnson. So he's gonna break that record, and just to put credence to it, he even said it himself on his podcast that he will break this record this year. And the data and analytics, according to ESPN, show that this season they expect someone to break this record. So you could be leaning maybe Jefferson, you could be leaning Hill, you could be leaning who's with the Bengals, Chase. So you could be leaning, different directions. But I am leaning with my Homer pick, and that is Tyreek. And he says, I quote, "I will break the 2,000-yard record next year, bro." End quote.
I mean, I love his confidence. I mean, Tyreek Hill has never lacked confidence, and we've seen him come close. So, I mean, if Tua does stay healthy, I think that offense is going to throw a lot. I mean, these receivers are fast. I mean, these running backs are fast. I mean, everything about this offense is fast. But but when you say the analytics said that somebody's going to break the obvious, I mean, it's going to happen because there's an extra game, right? So somebody's going to break the record within the next year or two with the amount of times these guys are throwing the ball, and they throw it all the time, the extra game. Is it Tyreek Hill? I mean, it's possible because that offense is going to throw a lot because all the running backs are dreadful and they're all going to be hurt. So, I mean, I totally see this in the world. I don't like it. There's too many Dolphins fans in this world, by the way. It confuses me.
There'll be a lot more this year. Okay, Patriots fan, what do you think of that Dolphins hot take?
Nothing makes my stomach sick more than hearing that. However, you look at it, and is it in the realm of possibility? I think it is. Last year, I mean, everybody's going to say, what if Tua gets hurt? What if Tua goes down? You never know. He's one more hit away from going down. Last year, Waddle's numbers dropped off the planet when Tua got injured. Hill's did not. I think because of the way he plays, the routes he runs, the speed he has, he's bust-proof when it comes to the quarterback throwing the ball. And so it's not about if Tua's healthy. To me, it's about if Hill stays healthy. And if he in that division, he's going to have to throw the ball. There's other he's going to get his targets. He's going to get his numbers. I mean, that's a big ask. 2,000. Is it in the realm of possibility? I'd say, yeah.
There could be 3 receivers breaking that record this year. I mean, all these guys. I mean, I see a world where all these guys can do it.
It would be amazing. So, well, should we just skip you, Pastor Jacques? Because, I mean, Mac Jones for 2,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, that's not bold, but, you know.
I have a bold you didn't say the bold prediction had to be good.
Okay. Patriots finished last in the division for the first time in 30 years.
Listen, I'm just going to be honest. Gone are the years. When I look at the Patriots, that's what I think about. Gone are the years. I think they're going to have no fantasy relevant players on their team at all. That includes when it comes to ADP.
Andre,
I think they're going to struggle getting into the end zone. So where are the touchdowns for the running backs going to happen? They'll be okay, but you got 2 running backs. They're going to share the load. Their tight end stinks. Mac Jones is terrible. Juju's going to do nothing. I don't see any of them. I see Ramondre having some good pop weeks, but I don't see him, because of the offense, having a consistent production that you can count on throughout the entire season. I think every New England Patriot will underproduce and disappoint this year in fantasy. That is my bold prediction.
I mean that offense is pretty bad, but sometimes bad teams produce good running backs, and I think this could be one of those things. I think Ramondre moves over to more of the pass catching role, and he can still get the goal line carry. So I agree with everything else, but I don't know if Ramondre has that super high feeling. But I think Ramondre will be pretty consistent enough. But
11
yeah,
points a week.
Patriots. Huh?
Nothing makes my day like I can't stop smiling. I feel like it's my wedding day. You know, when I walked down the aisle, I couldn't. When my wife was on the aisle, I couldn't stop smiling, and that's what I'm feeling right now. Just hearing a Patriots fan finally, after our life has been terrible, you know what it's like to be us. Finally, 25 years later, Tom Brady finally didn't come back. We don't have to worry about that. Belichick. There's, I have this just fear that the Patriots will still win 10 games just to make life terrible and miserable for us. But it just makes me happy. I got no take other than that. I'm happy. Fins fan?
I love it. I love it. As a Fins fan, I hope your Homer prediction is right according to the plan. The only thing I would say is because of how bad the offense is, I do expect them to lean on the tight ends a little bit more. So I'm interested to see if there is any relevancy within the tight end room. But other than that, I think that Patriots are going to be horrible. Go Fins.
You don't think Juju's gonna get some targets? He's not get like 5-yard target, like 80 catches for 370 yards or something crazy because it'll just get short curls or something.
He might get some catches, but like Myers, it'll never be in the end zone. So.
Yeah. Get the cheap points for a deep flex spot, maybe. Okay, so JJ Wang and our final homer picks are going to be our top guys for the year. We've talked about some in the offseason. We have lists if you want to go back and look at our old list. JJ Wang, who is your top guy with your homer bold prediction?
So in my entire life, I never thought it would ever come to this, but this is what fantasy. This is what fantasy has done to me. Never thought that I could be a fan of the Washington Redskins, now the Commanders. But after listening to the Grant and Danny show so much, shout out to the Grant and Danny show. I think they're
Grant's a good friend of mine.
Show. I love those guys. They have kind of transformed me over the years into rooting for this Washington team. And now that Dan Snyder's gone, we all hate that guy. I didn't want to be a fan of that guy. So I've kind of jump ship a little bit, and I think my top guy here is going to be Sam Howell, and he's going to be passing to Jahan Dotson. And my bold take for both of these guys are going to finish with inside the top 15. So Dotson's going to be a top 15 wide receiver, and Sam Howell's going to be a top 15 quarterback. And I look at it like this: if Dak Prescott can be a good NFL quarterback, Sam Howell can definitely be a good NFL quarterback. I don't see much difference. He still runs the ball. And Jahan Dotson, all this guy does is score touchdowns, and he's looked very, very good so far in his NFL career. Go Commanders.
I'm not buying you a Commanders Cup. Last year I bought him a Houston Texans Cup when he was on the Davis Mills bandwagon.
That didn't turn out very well.
Sam Howell. Guys, help me here. Help me. Sam Howell, Jahan Dotson, what do y'all think?
There's been such a long history of underperforming and losing. I think they're a couple years away. I don't think Ron Rivera would sign up with that prediction, and he coaches the team. I don't know if Howell makes it past like 4 or 5 games. The defenses they have to play this year, I think they're going to, on that weak offensive line, they're going to put that boy to the ground. So that's what makes me nervous with the break. Dotson's like an unbelievable player, and he has a super high ceiling. I just don't think this is the year.
Fondue?
Yeah, so I watched some Commanders over the preseason. I enjoyed watching Howell. He can sling that rock, and he has a good pedigree from college, obviously, and he's getting the keys to the kingdom. So I would like to see it. I'm not a Commanders fan, but we live up in the area, so a lot of people are, and it's kind of through osmosis, I guess you would say, that you hope they do well. But I agree with Pastor, like Dotson. I think he's legit. He's a star in this league. But how something in my gut just doesn't have me going with that.
Yeah, JJ Wang, I'll send a message to Grant later, and I've known Grant for 2 decades now or so. He started as a little kid, he was on Letterman, so I'll tell you a long story later. But
Go Commanders.
have to tell him you got him to be a fan. And Sam Howell, I mean, think about this. Sam Howell wasn't he supposed to be the number one quarterback through the 2 years before he got drafted?
Yeah,
Or
so
the year before he got drafted. He was number one, then he lost all his players.
Yeah, he lost all of his players, and then coming back that following year, he ran for 800 yards. You forget this guy can run. He is. I almost say he's kind of an elite runner given the way he plays at quarterback. I mean, he's not like a Justin Fields type, of course, not as big as Josh Allen, but the guy's got wheels. He can throw the ball deep, and if he's got weapons, go Commanders.
I think you're right. He's going to be running, but not for yards. He's going to be running for his life. That's a horrible offensive line. He's going to be running backwards. Ron Rivera was talking last week and said, at the end of last year, I didn't even know he was good. Like, that was the head coach. I didn't know he was good.
Maybe he shouldn't be coaching his team.
Yeah, that says more about Ron Rivera than it says about Sam Howell, because we all know Sam Howell was good in college.
Maybe he'll send Dable down to be the next coach, and he'll make him into the next Danny Dimes, because that's what it seems like. It seems like a kind of thing. So my guy, much to the shock of the world, I almost was going to pause the video and put on a jersey because everybody knows I have one. It's number one in my heart, number one on our team, QB1 in Miami. It's Tua. Everybody's like, Tua's going to get his head knocked. Tua's going to be out this year. You can't play on injuries. Has anybody seen Tua? Tua is bulked up. He's strong. Tua is one of the most accurate passers in the league, and the only hit on him is that he got hit, and we all saw him twitch on TV. We forget about the fact that Pat Freiermuth has as many concussions. Kenny Pickett's got a couple concussions. They're supposed to have great years. Tua's in the fastest offense in the league. Patriots fans are loving this. Tua's got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, two of the top 12 receivers in the league. Tua has Mostert, an underrated running back who's fast as the wind. Tua has A-Chain, if his shoulder's okay, fast as the wind. That team's going to be fast. The line is starting to come together, and that's the big question mark, is that'll be what keeps him alive. Does the line stand there long enough to keep him alive, or is he going to be just dinking and dunking to get through the season? But my bold prediction, I've said it all year, Tua could be what Chad said Dak could be, a top 5 quarterback in the league on an offense where he has to pass in a passing league with a 2,000-yard, the best receiving season in history.
The only honest thing you said there was that Kenny Pickett is a great quarterback. That's literally the only thing I heard out of all that. No, but in all seriousness, I think, I don't want to say it, but I mean, I can see it. I mean, that offense is going to throw all the time. Like I said, they'll run the ball a little bit, but just play crazy around the pass and just throw it short. Tyreek takes it deep. Throw it deep. Tyreek grabs it and still takes it for a touchdown. And then Jalen Watt, I mean,
same thing.
you only need these two guys, and then the rest doesn't really matter.
Fondue22, does that make your heart happy?
I love it. Fins up all day. Let's be honest here. High octane offense, like you said, they're going to be passing all the time. We already have questions around the running back situation going into the season, so they're going to be passing around like backyard football. It's going to be great, and I think Tua's going to stay healthy. He took judo, or what was he taking to make himself fall easier?
Well, it's a lot harder to fall when a 300-pound man's following. I don't think judo's going to help.
I did watch him. He took that when he threw that interception, that tackle he made. You saw it was a different. It's like he's thinking about. It was funny watching him tackle the guy. I was like, dude, you get out of the way. You're a quarterback. You don't go for the tackle. Just let him score the touchdown. Don't worry about it because your head's got googlies in it. But he went for the tackle and he looks solid. Patriots fan, Jacques shaking his head. He shook his head the entire time because he knows it's true after his. I mean, I agreed with you.
Hey, you used the word homer. And you use the word bold, and you just redefine both of those words about a 2-minute period. Oh my goodness. Tua will not be able to get out of Tua's own way. You saw the preseason. Preseason, he's tackling a dude. Like, if that's the football gene, it's in him. And I don't think he'll be able to get out of his own way. He'll stay in the pocket a little bit too long, trying to make a throw to one of his guys. I have a hard time seeing him play an entire season. So that's the struggle. I think the talent is there and the weapons are there. But man, the injury risk, man, I can't get past that.
Good. That means I can draft him tonight. That's all I need to know.
It's all yours.
Okay, so
judo. I mean, come on.
I want to take judo and then run into a 300-pound man. We'll see what happens. But I love it. Thank you, guys. We got one last quick hot take because everybody's been listening to us for a long time. It's always our longest show, but it's the most fun show to chat with these guys. So thanks for being with us, Patrick Jacques. Thanks for being with us, Fondue22. We're going to close out with each of us giving our Super Bowl picks. JJ Wang will give us a couple seconds of wisdom, and we will end the show. So I'll go first since we're looping back around. I just can't go chalk. For me, the Super Bowl pick really is the Eagles and the Chiefs because that's just like chalky for me. So I decided I'm going to go I'm going for a purple Super Bowl. I'm going to go Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, Mr. Consistent. Hey, you look at the old school Ravens with, what's his name? Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl title, and Kirk Cousins a much better Super Bowl title. And I just got my Sports Spectrum magazine, and he was on the cover of it. So I'm going to take Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson and that Minnesota Vikings defense, just something crazy. It's bold, versus the Baltimore Ravens in that Lamar Jackson defense. And I'll give the Ravens a Super Bowl championship. Really, I think it's the Chiefs and the Eagles. But that's what's going to be my bold prediction Super Bowl guess. JJ Wang.
All right, so I'm sticking with one of the same teams as last year. I'm keeping the 49ers, Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan. I love the 49ers. I'm always going to root for them. I just think eventually is going to happen. I'm going to be right. I'm never swaying. And as far as the AFC goes, I'm going to, you said it early. The only true thing that you said about Tua was that Kenny Pickett is great. And I think Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers will be in the Super Bowl. So we've got Pittsburgh and San Francisco.
You laughed at Minnesota? Pastor Jacques, who you got?
Yeah, Joe knows that Joe goes and Joe blows out the Eagles in the Super Bowl, man. You got all those players still on the rookie contracts, all kinds of talent. And I think Philly in the NFC, I mean, come on, that's a layup, if anything. But I think this is the year. I think they get over the hump. They beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and they get the ring.
Ooh, Fondue22, give us our last Super Bowl pick.
Great picks. So I agree with you. The chalk pick is kind of, what everyone expects, right? Eagles versus Chiefs. But that's not what's going to happen. So this is what's going to happen. What's going to happen is the 49ers will end up knocking off the Eagles to make it to the Super Bowl because Purdy will stay healthy this time around. They would have made it last year, by the way. That was my prediction. So second of all, the Chiefs, they're done. Dynasty is over. They're not making it back again. It's going to be the Bengals coming in. We all know Joey B, Joe Burrow. He's the man. He's the real guy to take it to the house. And with the upset, I think everyone's going to think 49ers will beat the Bengals, but the Bengals will pull it out, and the city of Cincinnati will party like it's, I would say 1999.
Ohio's gonna burn. Well, thank you very much, Fondue22. Thank you, Pastor Jacques, for taking some time out of your afternoon to give us some bold predictions. As always, this is a fun show. JJ Wang, wrap us up. Give us some wisdom. Take us out of here, man.
All right, some future Dynasty talks. I hope everybody was able to watch it yesterday with Deion Sanders in Colorado and his son, Shedeur Sanders, passing for 500 yards. So look for Deion Sanders to follow his son to the NFL, become an NFL coach, and them two just continue making beautiful football together because that was so fun to watch yesterday. They were 3-touchdown underdogs going into TCU, who, by the way, played for the national championship last year. They did lose a lot of players, but Colorado went in there with almost a completely new team. Deion called it. So kudos to Deion Sanders. So fun to watch. Every Saturday, you tune in to see it. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.